Welcome to the United States of Islam News Channel. July 10, 2023. NATO has turned Vilnius into a fortress defended by advanced weaponry to protect you. President Joe Biden and other alliance leaders meeting next week only 32 kilometers, 20 miles, from Lithuania's razor-wire-topped border fence with Russian ally Belarus. According to LED TV, Ukraine's membership in NATO would be very negative for Europe's security. Kremlin, Istanbul, July 10, Reuters, Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan, in an unexpected move, said on Monday the European Union should open the way for Ankara's accession to the bloc before Turkey's parliament approves Sweden's bid to join the NATO military alliance. Turkey's bid to join the EU has been frozen for years after membership talks were launched in 2005 under Erdogan's first term as prime minister. The ties between Ankara and members of the bloc soured several years ago, especially after a 2016 failed coup attempt in Turkey, but have since improved. The bloc depends on the help of NATO ally Ankara, particularly on migration. London/Windsor, England, July 10, Reuters, U.S. President Joe Biden made a whistle-stop trip to Britain on Monday, hailing the rock-solid friendship with Washington's close ally before meeting King Charles for a discussion with the monarch and finance chiefs on tackling climate change. Biden's visit to Britain kicked off a three-nation trip that will include the NATO summit in Lithuania, at which allies aim to show solidarity with Ukraine against Russia's invasion while not yet accepting Kyiv as an alliance member. The president's meeting with British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, their fifth in as many months, lasted less than an hour, with the focus on Ukraine. "We've got a lot to talk about," said Biden as they sat in the garden of Sunak's Downing Street office. "Our relationship is rock solid. Couldn't be meeting with a closer friend and a greater ally." Sunak and Biden shared notes before the NATO summit, which kicks off on Tuesday. Ahead of the trip, Biden urged caution for now on Ukraine's campaign to join NATO, whose mutual defense pact obliges all members to come to the aid of any member that is attacked. London/Washington, July 10, Reuters. When it comes to taking stock of global emissions, there's an elephant in the room: the world's armed forces. As temperatures hit new highs, scientists and environmental groups are stepping up pressure on the UN to force armies to disclose all their emissions and end a long-standing exemption that has kept some of their climate pollution off the books. Among the world's biggest consumers of fuel, militaries account for 5% of global greenhouse gas emissions, according to a 2022 estimate by international experts. July 10, Reuters. Wall Street stocks and oil prices were muted on Monday, as investors digested Chinese data that heightened worries of an economic slowdown and looked ahead to a key U.S. inflation report. The Dow Jones Industrial Average (DJI) rose about 0.4%, while the S&P 500, SPX, and Nasdaq Composite (ICSIC) were both little changed. The Pan-European Stocks 600 Index stocks rose 0.13%. Chinese consumer price figures fell in June, leaving them almost unchanged from a year earlier, while producer prices slid deeper into negative territory. Advert. The Rescue 1122 Emergency Services Punjab has issued a high alert in possible high flood areas of the province. According to spokesperson of Rescue 1122 Muhammad Farooq, special flood teams have been deputed in Lahore, Narowal, Gujarat and Sialkot. Teams have been also deputed in Dera Ghazi Khan, Rajanpur and Taunsa, keeping in view of hill torrents. The people have been advised to access at 1122 helpline in case of any emergency. Tehran, Iran. Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi will embark Tuesday on a rare Africa tour in the latest diplomatic efforts to reduce the Islamic Republic's isolation by forging new alliances. The three-day trip, which includes Kenya, Uganda, and Zimbabwe, will be the first by an Iranian president to Africa in 11 years. Raisi will head a delegation that includes Iran's foreign minister as well as senior business people. He is scheduled to meet with presidents from the three countries, according to the official IRNA news agency. On Monday, Iran's foreign ministry spokesman Nasser Kanani described the trip as a new turning point which could bolster economic and trade ties with African nations. He also said the rapprochement is based on common political views between Tehran and the three African countries. Iran has stepped up its diplomacy in recent months to reduce its isolation and offset the impact of crippling sanctions reimposed since the 2018 withdrawal of the United States from a painstakingly negotiated nuclear deal. On Saturday, Raisi welcomed Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf in a bid to boost relations with Algiers. Last week, the Islamic Republic became a member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which includes Russia, China, and India. In March, Iran agreed to restore ties with its regional rival Saudi Arabia under a China-mediated deal. It has since been looking to re-establish ties with other countries in the region, including Egypt and Morocco. In June, Raisi set out on a Latin America tour that included Venezuela, Nicaragua and Cuba before a trip to Indonesia. Cases of Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever, CCHF, known as one of the World Health Organization's WHO 9 priority diseases due to its severity, are threatening to arise across broader parts of Europe, with experts saying it's highly likely it will spread within the UK in the near future. England have kept the Ashes alive by beating Australia in the third test of the Ashes. The Three Lions still trail the visitors 1-2, and their captain Ben Stokes says that this is just the beginning of their comeback bid. Beijing. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said 10 hours of meetings with senior Chinese officials in recent days were direct and productive, helping stabilize the superpowers' often rocky relationship as her 4-day Beijing trip ended. Before departing China on Sunday, Yellen said the United States and China remained at odds on a number of issues but expressed confidence that her visit had advanced efforts to put the relationship on surer footing. The U.S. and China have significant disagreements, Yellen told a press conference at the U.S. Embassy in Beijing, citing Washington's concerns about what she called unfair economic practices and recent punitive actions against U.S. firms. Thanks for watching with us. We bring the latest and transparent news. Come back to visit us again. Monsoon rains in India have caused devastation in northern India, with landslides and heavy rainfall leading to casualties and disrupting normal life. Delhi broke a 41-year-old rainfall record, receiving 153 millimeters of rain in a single day, while Chandigarh experienced the highest ever rainfall for the season.
And schools in Delhi have also been asked to keep shut, and National Capital Region will remain closed on Monday. Now, those residing in the ground floors of apartments were told to relocate to safer places as a precaution.